Hey guys, how's it going? Companion here. Today I want to talk about Overwatch and my adventures playing this game over the last few days. It is basically just the time where the beta was released, so if you lucky, or maybe luck has nothing to do with it, people like me got a chance to play the game, got a chance to check it out. Now, before I go into the game, I really want to really give you guys the situation. I am not an FPS player. FPS games are ones that I've played when I was, a lot younger, and I didn't particularly enjoy. There was just something that were cool to do, but I never had that like crushingly addictive moment where like, man, I gotta go back and play the crap out of that game. I've never really experienced that for any FPS game other than one called Savage: The Battle for New Earth, which was more of like a FPS RTS crossover, and a lot of the mechanics in that game weren't really shooting people with guns, even though some of them definitely were. But Overwatch. So what is Overwatch? It's Blizzard's new game. It's an FPS. It's like got the cartoony thing, and it's been like polished quite a lot. For a beta at least. Blizzard kind of had this project on the back end for a really long time compared to some of their other games. Now, I decided to try, and I'll be honest with you guys, the only reason I decided to try any FPS game at all is because it's a Blizzard game. I am a big Blizzard fanboy, and this really ties into my impression as well. So, I think the game overall, just before we get into specifics, is quite a good one. But I'll show you guys some of my concerns. But before I do that, I'll show you guys some of the footage in the background about the game. I want to show you guys just the basics of how it works, what you can expect. So you play all the different heroes. They're going to be adding ones constantly, so it's not going to be limited to just a few. I'm just going to do practice versus AI here, so you can just see just somehow how my abilities work. So there are many different areas. The different areas have different objectives. In some situations, you need to defend a base. In some situations, you need to attack a base. In others, you basically defend or attack a region. In others, really, the important fact is that you just kill the crap out of your opponents. So there's a lot of objective-based missions, and in some missions, some type of units are clearly better than others. So there's like offense units, these guys here, there's defense units, these guys here, but the defensive units can be used offensively. It's just, you kind of have to adjust the play in most situations. And we have the tanks. A lot of the tanks survive through mobility and shield mechanics. Reinhardt is a really, really powerful tank. This is probably the most overpowered unit in the game, in my opinion. But it's a defensive unit. So often defense won't really matter, even though it's very, very powerful. Then you have the healer unit. People call Lucio one of the most powerful units in the game because of his ability to have like auras and stuff. But really, my favorite little guy is Bastion. People really like to hate on Bastion because he has a very basic playstyle, but I really love him. I think there is enough strategy to where it had enough appeal for me to continue playing the game. I think if it wasn't for Bastion, I may not have even bothered to play Overwatch more than the first day that I did. So let's log in with Overwatch, and I'll just show you guys somehow how the abilities work. So this is the starting area. It's basically an FPS. You get to shoot stuff. Here we're a little bit outside. You get to explore. The AI is going to come and kill me pretty soon if I just stand here. But that's really okay. I think it's on easy. We'll be able to take it. So you can check your unit's abilities by pressing F1. So his ultimate, which is the Q, he becomes a tank and does like bazooka modes. You charge your ultimate by dealing and taking damage, but mostly dealing. You don't really have that much HP as this type of a unit. Self-repair just heals yourself. You just hold that down and heal yourself as much as you want, but it consumes time, and time in an objective-based FPS really is not something you often have. The shift is often a mobility skill, but in the case of Bastion, it's a mobility reduction skill. You basically become a turret, and that's just the cool part. So let's just become a turret here. This little guy's attacking us. Now that we're a turret, we're going to have a much easier time dealing with him. So we just kill the crap out of him. Now that we're in turret mode, I can explain some more mechanics. You guys see I have the white thing in the middle of my screen. That's basically the shield. The shield does recharge over time if I'm not attacked. Yeah, that helps a lot. In the turret mode, I'm basically much more tanky, but I can't actually move, and the shield that you see is one that's actually a directional shield. So high mobility units will often be able to go behind me and just snipe me, and when they're sniping me from behind, the shield is not going to absorb damage. It's going to go straight to my HP, which 200 comparatively to the total amount with the shield is significantly lower. So the turret mode, this little guy, Bastion, does an unbelievable amount of damage in this mode. It's just, the mobility restriction makes it so it's generally balanced, but I've realized that in some games, especially on more defensive missions, it's not necessarily that balanced. But that's the cool part about it. Different units are very powerful in different maps, and being able to know which ones they are, and more importantly, how to counter them, and you can see that I can change my hero mid-map, makes it so it's an evolving meta and counter pick throughout the game, not just at the start. This might change with like ranked mode, which is not exactly in the game. You basically just queue against other people, but not for points or anything like that, just for the fun of it, really. So that aspect might change, but I think it's a pretty interesting one. Just to go through all the abilities here, you can see that the basic attack, the left click changes. I have the sentry configuration and the configuration recon, which is like this one here, which doesn't do really much damage at all. There's a lot of units. All the units feel very distinct. All the units have like ultimate abilities, and all the units have like really their main identity and role in the system. So, that's just basically the basics. That's what you can expect. There is quite a bit of a learning curve. For the first day that I played, I really just didn't understand what I was losing to. I'd be doing okay. Oh man, I'm kicking ass, and then just die suddenly. It's like, what happened? And I'm still kind of in that stage, but I feel like after you play the game, after you introduce yourself to the game for like a day or two, you realize what's going on in terms of basic strategy, in terms of like the abilities that you have to watch out for specific units, as some units get just countered by others, and just your situational awareness and the range of possibilities that you can learn to expect improves drastically in a fairly short amount of time, which I think is very important for new players. And that is kind of the main review that I need to give Overwatch. So I talked about how, I played the game, it's pretty simple, it's a pretty fast learning curve. It has the Blizzard style model of, easy to learn, hard to master. Some people definitely obliterate me in this game. I'm pretty awful at this game compared to the good players, but compared to the average player, I think I'm actually slightly above average, just based on, just the play that I've had in the last few days on the beta. But my main criticism with the game is that it's good, but for me, for a non-FPS player, it doesn't have that crushingly addictive experience that some of the other games have really drawn me into. And you might be saying, it's like, yeah, not every game you're going to play is going to be crushingly addictive. But the thing is, Blizzard has become such a great company, such, like one of the world-leading game developers, because of their ability to draw people into their game that haven't even like seen this type of game before. World of Warcraft was the biggest MMO ever, and it was for the reason that people who never even played video games before got crushingly addicted immediately. It brought people in from all these different genres. When I was playing World of Warcraft, managing the recruitment for my guild, often, we'll get like FPS players, we'll get like StarCraft players. So what Blizzard has really been successful at in the past with its really big titles is that the games have been on really the absolute topmost level, where players who play it for the first time, never even played that type of game before, never were really appealed to that game before, actually continue to be swayed to play that type of game. And, this was true for World of Warcraft, this is true for Diablo 3. I don't know how true it was for, like, the StarCraft genre, but certainly the early StarCraft, StarCraft 1 certainly had that aspect to it. And it's absolutely true for Hearthstone. Most people that play Hearthstone never even heard of digital card games before. They didn't play card games before. A lot of them haven't even considered playing games on their phone like me, but now I'm doing that because that is such a cool system. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're an FPS player, if you like these type of games, if you like, just shooting it up, having some kind of objective stuff, playing with your friends, this game is good enough for you. It seems polished. I have played those games before, even though I haven't really liked them. Overwatch seems like a better version of those games. But for me, as a player who doesn't have a natural appeal to that type of gameplay, I'm not really getting that crushingly addictive experience that I really hope that any Blizzard game that I try provides back to me. So what I'm saying is, Overwatch is a great game. It's an excellent iteration FPS. I think all the things Blizzard did to push the game in terms of just being super polished, in terms of creating this whole new universe, all that stuff is largely generally successful. But I think the game is really missing something to draw in and keep players who aren't already into this type of gameplay. And, this opinion, I've brought it to a lot of other people who've tried out the game, and it seems to be the case. It seems to be that Overwatch has a lot of parallels to Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is a really cool game. These days it's very polished, it has a lot of depth, it's really fun to play with your friends. But, people who generally are not into MOBAs, they're just not going to get stuck in that game. They're going to try it out, they're going to have a fun experience, a few days, maybe a few weeks, but in the end, it's not the type of game that you play for years on end, which Blizzard has been known to release many times over. So, not quite on the absolute topmost Blizzard quality level in terms of addictive gameplay, but overall, a pretty good shooter. I know beta is very limited right now, but if you are into the shooter genre, if you are into that type of gameplay, I think you guys will have a blast playing Overwatch. But if not, well, enjoy your short time playing the game as I did. For now, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed my review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.